See, that's one thing I didn't think you were. Horizontal, but not lazy. Horizontal.
Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
It's a good setup. It reminds me of being on my movie set.
All right, okay.
Are you a movie star?
Aye.
That's wait. What kind of movie?
I know.
Aye. So,
I mean, you are a good-looking lad,
It's
so
Hollywood,
you just
like.
assume that, eh?
Definitely Hollywood.
The Hollywood type. Blockbuster type thing.
Yeah. Renée Zellweger. I spent a whole afternoon with Renée.
Oh, okay.
You know Bridget Jones?
Aye.
Spent a whole afternoon shooting literally a 5-second shot scene. Spent a whole afternoon. Like, it gives you an idea of what's entailed in making a movie. Like, it was crazy.
How did you get on that?
It was an extras thing. Right?
Oh,
So I
aye.
signed up to an extras thing, and I'd done. It was a guy I used to hang around with when I was a bit younger, and he signed up to it. I went through in the car one day, ended up signing up to it, and then next thing I knew, I was up in Loch Lomond for a week on set of a Hollywood movie. It was it's nothing glamorous or that, but Miss Potter. There's the storybooks, Miss Potter.
Right, okay.
Your kids will probably know, Little Rabbit and stuff like that. She was a writer. She wrote these books, and the movies.
Oh yeah,
about her.
Beatrice Potter. Yeah.
Beatrice Potter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Renée Zellweger plays Beatrice Potter. So I got hand selected. So I was just meant to be in the background, and then I saw like the directors all standing, pointing and everything, and I was like, overdone. And I got pulled out, and I had to do like a one-on-one with her, and I had to walk in Emma Watson.
Aye.
Not the Harry Potter one. There's another one.
The older dear.
Yes, that here. Aye.
I just watched a film with her last night.
That's
No,
all.
it wasn't with her last night. There's somebody that looks like her, but aye. Yeah.
So I just had to escort her into this old barn house saying this, and that was it.
There you go, eh?
All after
See,
me.
I
So
got-
Jay, so you're famous.
he's famous. Got a mate, that's amazing.
Can I have your autograph?
That was a
Sure.
speaking part as well.
Speaking part as well.
Wow, yeah. So it's not just a pretty face, a speaking part as
I've
well.
got an extra 80 quid or something for my day. for saying this. So,
But it's nice to have these experiences as well. And as you said, you've now seen behind the scenes, like what actually goes on in the production and how long-winded it.
oh, crazy, aye.
As-
Like moving rack, like big cameras on rails and moving racks like from one side of the room over to the other side of the room to the other side of the room and like just repeat, moving the camera angles and stuff. And
So it's not all glamorous.
there's a lot of downtime. Like I say, me and her sat under a gazebo like this. This is not a gazebo, but in a gazebo this size, and just for hours we're talking about like teas and coffees and her background, and she's just a regular
Yeah.
girl.
I think sometimes we miss that they are just regular people
Aye.
with regular interests. They just want to talk to regular people.
Yeah.
But you know, I find businesses like that as well, just to bring it back into business. But, you know, people look at business people, owners, and just think like whatever their thoughts are. But there's a lot goes on to running a business that people don't realise if they've not ever done one.
Yeah, I would say it's easy when you're sitting on the outside, when you're an employee or you're looking at your friends that have businesses. You don't understand the inner workings because it looks like that iceberg or swan at the top. It's like calm, but underneath it's like deep. The feet are going crazy. There's 500 million things that you need to worry about. It's all of those types of things.
I think when you get into the business side of things, though, you become more comfortable with it because you know it's just a habit. You know you're dealing with problems most days and you're just solution finding all the time. I mean, Jay Turner, a star. The star. You've got multiple businesses. You've been going around for quite a while now. What have you learned in business from where you are now to when you first started?
Start with an easy one, eh?
Aye, I like to do the kind of questions, and then I start thinking about what else I'm going to ask.
Probably an abundance. I mean, what I know now, what we all probably know now is not a patch on what we thought we knew when we were starting a business. Experience is incredible, and you just learn from every aspect of, you start a business, whatever your business may be. If you're a tradesman, if you're in tech, if you're in property, whatever it is you do, when you start a business, you think that's all that business is going to be about, but it's not. You need to learn finance, you need to learn accounts, you need to learn marketing, you need to learn management of staff and working with people and having a business. It's not just that one thing that you may be good at or that you may want to do. There's an abundance of other aspects of business that you need to learn
True.
to succeed.
And your background's military, so what took you from, you can talk a little bit about that. There's lots of secrets I'm sure you can share.
Yeah,
with us
I'm
if you
sure we're all going to go to jail for this. But
It's not a secret if only one person knows.
What
Bring
got
that
you
mic
from
in a
that
minute,
then into the business side of things? What was the drive? What was the journey there looking like for you?
Engineer to trade. So when I left the school, it was all engineering, and it was in a factory, and I knew myself all those years that I worked in that I needed a bit more. So the action, the need for a bit of action, the need for a bit of using what capacity I had to do other things led me to the military. One thing after another, I got there. Coming out, I think I had read a book and it had just opened up a bit more of my mind to what was possible, and that you didn't really need to conform to what we thought was a working life. So just seeing a bit of the world and appreciating what other things were available and wanting good stuff for myself and my family and that in the future as well, just kind of opened up my eyes to, why do I need to do this? What everybody expects us to do when I could push forward and do something on my own. Taking a risk, it was all a risk, to be honest.
And it certainly paid off. Certainly paid off to where you are, from where you started to where you are now, and all the ups and downs. Because I think what has made you keep going, because we all know, because every person in business has had downtime, they've had hurt, they've had pain, they've had anguish, torment. What has been the driving force to keep going over all these years?
I've had relative success, to be honest. There's not been a point where I've thought, I'm going to sack this off and go back to working. Had I thought about that, I would be absolutely impossible to have working. I would be the worst employee ever. See, if I was to go back into a workspace and now, I'd be correcting things. I'd be telling them that you could do this better, you could do that better. I just seem to have a good kind of vision of, from a wide view, a wide angle. I've got a good vision and I can see things where things work and where things don't work. And I think that stands me in good stead for what I'm doing myself now. But going back into a workspace, that would probably not be appreciated as much. I would suspect. Just seeing again, what keeps me going is always why I started off. I want this to succeed and leaving a legacy and stuff like that. So my businesses, each business I have, there is a legacy element to both of those businesses. So that's not by fluke. That was
by design.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I've got kids, and for everything that's going on in the country and the world, and now who knows what lies ahead in the future. So if I could give my kids kind of the best or a helping hand when it comes round to them, then again, that's kind of what pushes me forward in a way.
Okay, no, very good. So you've had plenty of businesses in the past, you've got a few businesses going on just now. What kind of businesses are you doing now? We know it's the property, you're doing the networking, marketing side of things as well.
Yeah. So property is my bread and butter. That's my kind of backbone to everything. I've been a landlord for best part of 20 years now.
Right.
Again, never ever started off that way. I think I started off as an accidental landlord, and then I started accumulating, and then saw that there was actually a business here. So then I pushed forward with that, and in the last probably 6-7 years, that's been full steam ahead with that, and we've shown real growth. Most recently, again, maybe the last 4 years, network marketing is. So I saw, again, I just like to keep busy, and although I'm relatively active in the property sector, I'm not hands-on.
Right.
I'll do the rip-outs. I've got tradesmen that come in and put everything back together. Then it gets handed over to a letting agent.
Yeah. I know one.
So it does leave me in between the tasks that I do have. It does leave me with a bit of downtime, and
Right.
Instead of me sitting, watching mundane stuff on Netflix or whatever, I thought, I could put my time to use in the evenings, and got involved with a network marketing company, which does kind of align with the property side of things. But it was all, again, it was by design. So part of the property business was trying to raise finance and offer fixed returns to people with savings and stuff. So I had a bit of marketing campaign for a few years trying to get, investors on board and stuff. And I kind of realised that, there's not as many people out there with money in the bank to invest in someone. And those that do, may have something else on the go. So the mass market that I had access to on my socials, I thought, right, let's pivot a little bit. I need to change the message here. And it was, so the network marketing business that I'm involved in, I'm actually helping these people. It's a free service I offer, but we're helping those people save money and simplify their lives and stuff. So I kind of pivoted my message a little bit. It did mean I had to start up another business. And the two of them kind of work hand in hand. I can help some tenants out, but mainly I'm helping, the people of my network.
But how awesome is that though? The fact that you can have one business that runs pretty much on its own, and then you've got time, because a lot of people feel that time's the most valuable thing that they don't always actually have. But you've managed to create that.
Yeah.
Just run it back to the very beginning here. How did you get the education to start in property? Because people are listeners out there, they want to do something, but they've maybe got the drive and the hunger, but they don't have the education.
Yeah.
Where did you find your education, or did you just go, I'm just going straight and I'll learn as I go?
What first opened my eye, I've always been good with money. Like I remember getting a wee book for the Nationwide for my mum and dad, and every year I used to take my birthday money or something along, and then I always used to, never mind how much I was putting in, I was always looking at the interest that I had accrued in the last 12 months. Oh, that money's made that money. And I love the idea of money making money. So that must have just been a natural thing that was ingrained in me. But what changed it for me was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That was probably the first book that I sat down and got engrossed in and was like, whoa, like school is not for learning. You actually learn later in life, and that's something I will always say to people as well, like don't leave school or uni and then think that's the end of your learning. For me, learning begun after the education, and it's not taking nothing away from the education system, which I know is a bit of a topic, but we are all, adults when we've left, and it's our responsibility ourselves to continue to learn through whatever it is we feel, whatever it is we want to pursue. But it was the book that got me started, and then I found my own feet, to be honest, probably rightly or wrongly. I was doing things right, but I was also doing things that I probably could have done better. And then I did sign up to some mentorship purely because I felt on my own, secluded. I was going through the property growth and the journey, and I was doing what I was doing, and I was like, surely I'm not the only person that's doing this. And it was back, like I say, we're talking 15 years ago now or something, 15 to 10 years ago. Socials was prevalent, but not anywhere near what it is now. Yeah. So I seeked out some mentorship time just to get a bit of a network in a social circle when other people doing what I was doing, just maybe collaboration opportunities or whatever, but just to have conversations, and because it is a kind of lonely, everything I do is also lonely. I ever do it on my own, like everything I'm doing is...
It's a big thing, we talked about that quite a lot, excuse me, and I wish I had done that earlier, definitely. Like there's a lot of people out there that would be happy to help, even if it's, short-term cup of coffee type stuff, but if you can get on a more long-term mentoring programs quick as you can, it's definitely a big benefit.
You did say that at the very beginning. What would your key be, Wicus, if you were to start again? What would you do better?
So many things. I think you learn from your mistakes. What would I do better? That's a great question, Johnny.
Thanks very much. I'm
Yeah,
full
because
of
All day, we've got all day.
we've got
We've
all
got all
day
day.
to think about. I think, things that you would do better is one of the things I would do differently is I would get to know my customers a lot better, a lot earlier on, and really understand what they want, because whether you believe it or not, it's how you make your customers feel. And I would really change that customer journey, that customer experience. The second thing I would do is I would get onto automating our systems a lot quicker. Systems, you might not believe me, systems are expensive, make no mistake about it. But we live in a data-driven world. You need to start making decisions driven by data, not your gut, not your feeling, data. What does the numbers tell you? What is the data that's out there? So if I had to start over, I would do those two things. So probably the two biggest things if listeners are listening. Understand what your customers want. It's how you make them feel. And I'll use this clip. I won't use the real life story, but Simon Sinek tells a story about he finished his work one day early and he wanted to get back to his family. So he phones the airline and he says to the airline, I need to get back. And the guy sitting there, he goes, sorry, wrong class of ticket, can't help you. And he goes, but I can see you've got availability. The guy goes, sorry, wrong class of ticket, can't help you. So he goes, but I want to get home. He goes, sir, what do you not understand? I can't help you. Click, puts the phone down. Rewind the situation. Okay. You're talking to a customer. You go, sir, I hear you want to get home. I'm going to do my damnedest to see what can get you home. Click, 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 click. It's not working, sir. Let me try something else. Click, click, click. Sir, not working, but hold, stay with me. I'm going to talk to my manager. You go away. You go talk to your manager. You go, this guy wants to get home. What can we do? Sir, my manager and I, we've done everything we could, but our system is not allowing us to do this because of this and this reason. So this is what's going to happen, but I can't get you home unless you buy a new ticket. What's the difference in that two things? How do you think I feel as a customer? Okay. I feel heard. I feel recognized. Okay. The worst thing you can do, and let me just say this, and hopefully the guys listen, I'll just send them this clip, is if it is not my fault, don't make it my problem. Okay. If it's not my fault, don't make it my problem. So I'll tell you why I'm on such a high horse at the moment is I booked my car in for a service because everything happens online. So nobody wants to speak to me. So I book it in. I have a courtesy car, everything. I pitch at the garage Monday morning. Cleared my day now because what this one does. And they go, sorry, we don't have you on the system. Like, that sounds like a you problem. It's not a me problem. Yeah. They go, well, what do you want us to do? I don't know. But I've got an email saying that my car's in for a service. I've got a courtesy car. Well, we don't have anything. What do you want us to do? Like, I don't know. But that's not my problem. So don't make it my problem. Okay, give me a solution. The solution is we can fit you in on Wednesday. So we can give you a courtesy call. You have to come there. Now it becomes my problem. I've done everything and was recorded. So how do you think I feel as a customer? Do you think I'm going to recommend that? And I think we need to get closer to our customers because customers have got choice. They can go anywhere. Anywhere. Tenants that you deal with.
Yeah. It's a value that you're creating all the time.
Yeah. Tenants can go anywhere, Jay. Yeah. Why do they try and stick with your properties, Michael, with your properties? Because you're obviously listening to them. You're hearing their concerns. And just by listening to them doesn't mean you're going to do something about that. Okay, I could have solved that problem in 5 minutes. And then when they send me the follow-up email, they missed the point completely. So I am going to send them the clip so that they can understand what customer service is about, because we banter that word around. Oh, it's about service.
It's the care, isn't it?
It's the care.
And it's the individual at the end of the phone, whether they're not there, they're loving their job, whether they're incentivized or motivated enough to make sure that situation on the phone, you have a positive outcome there, eh? Yeah.
If they had done that, if they had gone to the manager, I don't think I would have been so irate. Okay, but it does, because you can solve the problem. I know how to solve the problem, but it's not my problem. Why must I solve something that's not my problem? It's not even my fault.
I'm going to have to change that recording. I can't get a word in. That's the wrong one. Where's the other one?
Johnny's on a rant.
It's definitely not me this time, I'll tell you that.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen often.
Do you want to lie down? Do you want to lie down?
I'm just gonna have a thing. But I think it goes to business as well. Okay. I think that when you're in business and you said it, you start off and you might be really good at sales. Okay. But business has got so much more to it. And we live at rapid pace because we live in a hyper-connected world. Okay. If you think about Amazon, okay, they are targeting same-day deliveries because we want same-day deliveries. Yeah. We've forgotten. If your phone breaks now, Jay, what are you going to do?
I don't know. What am I going to do? I'm going to need to go and buy a new phone,
So you're not going to repair it?
Nah.
Why?
Because I've had it for about 3 years anyway.
Yeah. So that is just a mentality. So we'll rather replace than repair.
It costs just as much to repair things like that as well.
So that's how fast technology moves.
Yeah.
And I think in your business, if you're looking at your business journey, the customer is key. No customer, no business. No sales, no business. So how are you treating your customer? And that's not to say that every customer is the right customer. Don't get me wrong, because sometimes customers can be unreasonable. Okay. And I can be really unreasonable. And they would probably say to you that I'm unreasonable. But I'm not, because my job was to bring my car there and to get a courtesy car. I've got a written email confirmation. Now, why is it my problem that you're
very commercialised?
Yeah,
you can sense that. You'd be an absolute fucking nightmare to deal with when you're having, a wee mood swing.
No, wee mood swing.
I would make you laugh.
No. There's one thing: your service won't cost you anything. I would be expecting. Or
no, they didn't even. So they go, we'll waive the 20 quid insurance fee. I don't care. I really don't care. It's not about the money. It's about the principle.
Yeah.
So let me rewind this. We go for my daughter's birthday. And my daughter's got this thing, Summer, sorry, darling. She's got this thing about chicken. If a chicken is pink, she thinks she's going to get salmonella poisoning and we're all going to die, right? So she orders a chicken. Anyway, she cuts into it. She goes, oh, it's pink. So we call the manager over. She goes, listen, it's all temperature checked, but I can see it's a little bit pink. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to get you a new one. So they give her a new one. And then the bill comes and they've taken it off. So I call them over and say, no, please put it back on because you've actually listened to me. You've solved the problem and it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
So that's unfair to them.
What's a testament to you? Because you're a business owner. You understand that.
So you understand
side of
that. So that's why I say to you, when things go wrong, please complain, but complain in a respectful way.
Yeah. You're just giving people a help to try and fix it. So rewind off this now. We talked about the two things that you would go back to. You would go back to maybe get mentorship. I would do the network and learn to speak to
what
more
would
people.
You go back to?
Sorry, I'm just answering it for myself here. Okay. I'm knackered listening to him. Jay, what would you go back and change from your initial start in business? Is there anything you would change? Because you were talking about getting a mentor, which some people wouldn't even thought about a mentor. They thought that was more of something that professional people did later on in their journey in 10 years because they couldn't afford it or what have you. Mm. But that's brilliant hearing that. But is there anything that you would change?
If I changed it, would I not be sitting here today now? Would I not have? So there's the question.
Three handsome people around you. No.
Oh, I'm like
or maybe just one.
I'm like a thorn stuck in between three roses.
I think it's more about learning. Right.
That's a good one.
We're trying to obviously educate and help and give nuggets to other business owners, so it's more down that road. Like, you have to change some.
What's your biggest learning? What would you say is your biggest learning? To tie it back to what Johnny says, and then what would you change? Would you change anything?
I don't think I would change anything. You learn from the good things, you learn from the bad things. Business is a business, but it is a massive learning exercise, isn't it? It's important to adapt and don't be stuck in any kind of one-track mind. You need to adapt and you need to evolve and you need to keep changing to move with the times because times are moving quick. So I feel I've done that. Yes, I have regrets. I probably trust people a bit more than what I should. So that's something I've learned to maybe put your trust in people, but not fully kind of rely upon them because you could potentially be let down. So just always kind of trust people, give them your confidence and stuff, but always keep a little back. There's surely something I would change. Yeah.
The thing is, I understand the mindset of I don't want to change anything because it might alter where I am just now. Right. There's definitely that. I think it's just when people are listening, they'll listen to a lot of people that have came on in their journey and where they've started, and they might get an idea, a sense of it, because they'll try and collaborate or try and align it to who they are and what they do.
Yeah.
I would always say it comes with a passion. It comes with a drive. You've either come from something that's crap, something that's changed, and you want to make something different for yourself. But then the journey starts, and a lot of it goes high to start off with, and then it either plateaus or it goes down again. And it's the people that can't endure the down, because there are a lot of downs than ups in business.
Aye.
Over the long
Over the
haul,
course, the long
you
haul.
get more time back, you get a bit of understanding about cash flow, understanding people, like you were saying at the very beginning, the abundance, and you're learning loads of things about business. And then people, where people seem to always be the topic of conversation. You know, who's needing a cuddle, who needs a fit up the backside, who needs to be nourished, who's worthy of your time. You know, like even when you're saying about the networking marketing, you'll see that day in, day out, people not getting a grasp of what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right.
Right.
You know, let's take the networking for anybody that's in business and starting. How many people do you know? And from starting to where you are, you know, a year down the line, how many people do you know now? They don't even ask that question. You know, it's important who's in your phone book, and the ones that are willing to help you are actually in your phone book. The ones that are willing to have a coffee with you.
You'd be surprised, like, of the people in your phone, and then the people that know you from an outside aspect, how many percentage-wise help you from the people in your phone book are the hardest ones to persuade, to help. Do you know what I mean? That's my experience anyway. It's your external connections that you make in a business world, I'd say. In a following, we'll all have people connecting with us on socials and stuff, and these are the people that see what you're doing and support you.
Do you think it's because they don't know you entirely? They don't know what you're like with a drinking you, they don't know what you're like when you dated their ex-partner, or do you know the whole stories behind people? Is that why it's easier with external people?
Is it because they're more on the wavelength for you? Is it because they...
I think it's more like your phone network, or the people in your phone, your contacts, they will maybe know you in a different capacity. Whereas they maybe not looking to do business with you and stuff like that. But when you get onto a wider network of businesses, then they're interested in what you've got and how that can work with them. You know, and build those relationships up, and that's where you start to open some doors for yourself. So it's a bit different, I think. Like there'll be people obviously you can do business with, but
Definitely.
So it's like when you go into these, because I've seen time and time again, people going into networking events saying, "Oh, I'm going to a networking event," and they do nothing. They go into they gravitate towards their group of people that they know, and that's fine initially to calm you down, because some people just don't have a lot of confidence. But the stronger networking people should be analysing that and going, right, you come over here, I'm going to have a chin wag, because it makes you feel so important. It makes you feel comfortable when somebody, you know, puts that arm over your shoulder. Because you'll have dealt with hundreds and maybe even more, thousands of people through the networking marketing. What are the takeaways that you notice for people to give them a bit of help and advice?
What's the word? 2 in the morning. Never kind of think you know what that person's going to be like. Never assume. Never assume that people are what you think, right? So people will surprise you all the time. Though you walk in and you'll think, you know, this person's not interested at all. Like, you get a bad vibe from them. You sit down with them, you talk to them how you do, and they'll be your best customer. And then you flip that, you think, oh, this, you know, they've phoned me, they know exactly what it's all about, and they'll be an absolute nightmare. I say, and I've learned, I think you need to be a bit of a social chameleon, working with people and working in business. I've gone from dealing with tenants, you know, not the most desirable, to sitting in a room with multimillionaires, and you need to be able to adapt your conversations, you need to be able to adapt your mood, your presence, the direction of everything that you're doing there and then. So that's a big one as well in business. I think you need to be able to sit at the table with a wide range of different people.
I think that was one of the things when we had James Barker on, and he learned it from a young age. He was saying when his mum used to take him away to Zurich, and you know, he would be with people in high octane positions to spitting sawdust with his mates in the you know, back home in a pub. That's a good point there. Adapting to your environment.
It's I mean, what we learn at a young age obviously stands us in good stead, isn't it? You know, those of us who a bit streetwise, you know, maybe grew up in certain areas where we know the lay of the land, and you know, you could fall into that, or you can use it to your advantage and help later on. And
I think there's a bit of that's missing nowadays, to be fair. Especially after COVID stuff, you know, there's people growing up there that haven't had those kind of interactions that we've had.
Yeah.
Learn how to communicate with people.
Aye, there's a big void there. Eh?
Yeah, for sure.
I think I heard something, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk saying this. With the high speed of technology growing so fast and so rapid, just now, the most valuable thing that's going to be coming, whether it be in 3 years, 5 years, will actually be taking people for a walk and talking to them. It's much sounds corny to somebody who was born in 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, but that's going to be that's going to be a valuable business. Being able to take people away, like the retreats or going for walks, finding about them, getting them to learn how to communicate better. I'm like
a technology-free zone.
Yeah. Well, aye.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, I think there's only a certain demographic of people that will be able to understand it because we've got both sides of it.
Aye.
I
think there is a shift going back there. Like there's a shift already. I think there's people seeking solitude and quiet and stillness and nature, and I think it's coming already. Me myself, I know I love to just
just get away from
be out in the garden or be up a hill or be up north and just chill and get away from it, sitting watching the water and listening to the water. I think you need it. I take it, I like, people are so stressed in that, and we've got mental health problems, and I take this back, like there's a lot of people not smoking. Like this is a total can of worms here, like, but, like
let's go to it.
Back in the day, like everybody was smoking 10 fags a day, 20 fags, like 40, and I think like nicotine in itself is different from the cigarette, isn't it? The nicotine is the
addictive part, yeah.
The addictive part, which may not necessarily be as bad as all the other chemicals that we inhale. But I think there's something in the fact that none of us are getting, or not that I've ever smoked, but the stress levels, the nicotine helped the stress levels back in the day. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think we've got that substance now to de-stress. Do you know what I mean?
But it also brought you out, like I've never smoked, but like you could see people that smoked congregated, you know, there would be a community there of people that would all be chatting and smoking, and
every half an hour or every hour, and they'd have that, you know, that offload and stuff, and and like for as stupid as that sounds, I think like
every change has an outcome, a different outcome, and when you look at an effect, and you look at the digital world, it's got faster and faster and faster, and it's like anything, it comes to a point and then the pivot, it changes again. And I think we're getting I mean, when you think, and we've said this previously on episodes, when you think, say, 20, 30 years ago, somebody said, you've got a device and you'll talk to somebody on the other side of the world, you're like, take your tablet, son. That's not going to happen. But look at what we've got, the drones we've got, and you've got to remember, a lot of things have been used 15 years prior or 10 years prior with the Classification Act.
We're way behind. What we know, what we've got now is way behind what's...
And it's frightening. What's getting used, the robots and whatnot. So, you know, even technology, sat-nav, GPS, I remember people in the military was telling me, we've been using that for years. You're like,
Even AI was back in the 70s. I've seen stuff with people working on AI in the 70s.
Yeah. So just on that point, 15 years ago, okay, your mobile phone was just a mobile phone. You could play games on it. You had to have a separate camera, separate video camera, separate device for listening to music. So in 15 years, one device has replaced all of it. It's wiped out. Sony had Walkmans and Discman. It wiped all of that out. They didn't see that coming. Exactly. Cameras, you know, good camera manufacturers. You don't get small point and shoots anymore because mobile phones have taken it over. Digital. When was the last time you actually had one of your digital films developed?
Oh.
We don't. We keep them on a screen. So what's the thing? So you're right. Everything moves at pace. And I think there's so much happening out there that we have no idea about. And then, you know, AI coming into the play as well, coming into the fold. So Terminator is not just a fiction movie.
Yeah.
Some of those stuff's already happening.
Movies are coming alive.
Aye.
So it is. It's interesting when you start looking at that. But we do live in a hyper-connected world. I would say that how do you shut off? How do you shut off? What do you do when you need to shut off?
Take your socks and shoes off and you walk on the beach. You just do a wee bit of ground and walk on the grass, feel the grass. Just switch on, put your phone away.
Yeah, so I don't know about. I was at the beach this weekend, okay, and the sun is fantastic, and I watch everybody go in, and then they come out and they red, and I'm like, is that hypothermia, or is their body's just a? And then I put my feet in, and my feet are red, and I'm like, that's hypothermia. That's it. That's what I feel like. So I get it.
And are you able to switch off? Do you?
I'm bad for not switching off.
Yeah, I never used to be. But I'm really good at it now.
Yeah, I know.
Like I switch off and switch on. I need to switch on. I'm on. If I'm off, then I'm
not. And again, I think I've just fallen into the continuous trend of always. There's not a working week and a weekend anymore. Every day is the same day.
Well, you could change that then.
I could, and I need to, and I'm really bad for not kind of self gratification or appreciation and all of that stuff. So that is, I'm conscious that is something that we should all do. I don't, and I'm the first person that would say you should do that, but I don't do it. So I need to start probably putting that into my.
You're burnt out, there'll be a point where it just burns out.
And I do.
You lose the love of it all, and
it's
definitely important to be able to switch off. And you can find loads of stuff. Like golf's a big one. The phone's away 4 hours. You don't have to think about anything.
Aye.
Even when you used to do the 5-a-sides, it was an hour, but it was just an hour where this is back in the day when I was like that, full on. That nobody can get in touch with that ever, and it just gives you a bit of peace of mind.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, it's your mind, isn't it?
Yeah,
you may physically not actually be doing anything, but it's your mind continuously going round and thinking about things, and you need to.
So I think we're guilty because you would always, like in the past when I was full on it, you'd find things to do. If you had nothing to do, you'd find something. It wasn't just a case of sitting back and chilling. Or finding something else that you could get on with that's not business.
I think that's because I get that harped on me all the time. I'm demented. Johnny is demented.
Well, what does that mean?
It's because I'm not like everybody else.
No, you're not, John.
Yeah.
I think it's just
full of water.
I full of water.
No. We established that it's not water.
No, I think it's my mind's constantly gone, but it's definitely slowed down over the period of my journey because I was going to just collapse at some point. There's only so much, but it was the people along the way on the journey that says, look, what you're doing there and what you're doing there, and you should maybe take a step back and cut off your time, like diary entries and set times to do certain things in the day. It's actually quite good. Lists. I mean, people that I've met along my way, this is a shout out to one girl, in particular, Janet Torley. A simple thing. She used to write her list every day and she got great satisfaction scribbling them out. And I'm like, that's so simple. How did I not know that? So I do that all the time now. And I scrub out and it's such, yes. And anything that's in there, it goes straight down there.
A sense of achievement.
Aye. So it's just, I don't have to have it all in here. I could put it on paper. And I don't know, it's just another thing that I don't have to concern myself with or remember. The hand gets written on and that gets written on.
I used to, when I had the letting agency and stuff, I used to do that because it would always be 5 minutes before you were dropping off to sleep in bed, you would, I never done that. I need to do this. I need to speak to that person. So I had a pad next to my bed, and that was the only way I could get to sleep.
I was going to say that
was when everything come back to me, in the still of the night, when you actually think that you're going to get to sleep and relax, your mind goes, ting, 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 what about all of these
Let's
things?
have a party.
and then it just goes round and round and round and round like a wash machine, doesn't it, in your head? So I felt, put a pad next to the bed, write it down, and then when you wake up in the morning, you've got a list. There you go. And you go out and then, eat the frog or whatever it is to say, and you just batter off all those tasks. And before you know it, you know what I mean? You've done a hell of a lot of work before you're
even think that's a helpful tip for people. Write your list and plan your day out. Failing to plan is planning to fail. All these wee strap lines. But it's so important. Very important.
It's never the big things. I promise you now, it's never the big things. Success isn't one big event. And I've said this before. It's a combination of a lot of small daily wins, a lot of 1% where you make changes. Because a list could easily go the other way. Because I've seen people with to-do lists of 2 or 3 pages. And they go, I'll get to it.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's not that. It's about you understanding the difference between being efficient and being effective. And in order to be efficient and effective, you need to understand the difference between urgent and important. And that's not, anyway, I often ask interviewers, what's the difference between urgent and important? And you know how many people can't answer that question. They go, well, urgent needs to be done now. Yeah. What's the rule? What makes something urgent?
I'll tell you what's urgent.
What is urgent?
He's taking me away on Friday to the Your Apprentice thing, and I tried my tux on last night. It's as tight as a chastity belt around me. I went like that. I'm like,
is that because of water retention?
The first thing he said, like, has anybody watched this?
But do you know, anybody that watches this regular will see that your chair's slowly but surely keeping back for that table.
I'm so offended by that.
It could be. It's only Tuesday.
Tuesday offended. Well, Jay, thank you very much for coming on.
Yep,
really
my pleasure,
appreciate
pal.
it. And we've got a little button that Mike likes to press.
Yes.
This is your world.
Shape it.
Or someone else will. Right.
If I could ask a favour to the listeners, the three gentlemen here are doing massive, fantastic things, bringing people into the hot seats. So if you've just listened to this episode, please give it a little share, because you don't know who may need to hear what's in this episode and the others. So please give it a little share, just to at least one person. And if you can't think of anyone, stick a wee link on your socials, because, like I say, you're helping them as well as helping the gents in the room. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Thanks very much.
gentlemen.
That's so nice. Thanks very much, Jay.
There you go. What you want?
Nah, I just thought it's
kind,
worth
mate.
pushing it forward. Eh?
I think it's when you're
People
doing
don't
this.
think unless they're prompted to do that. And if you ask them for a favour, then hopefully
Come
Aye.
through.
You know, it's like advertising. Eh? We think we're all good at it, but there's things that we're missing as well. So thanks for that.
Perfect.